My name is Daniel, though most people shorten it to Dan. At 29, I thought I had life figured out, or at least the parts that mattered. A steady job, a modest home, a goofy Labrador who greeted me like a hero every evening, and a wife who, to anyone watching, seemed to fit the word perfect. Claire was the kind of woman people remembered. Not in the loud, attention-grabbing way, but in the quieter sense. The way her laugh carried warmth into a room, or how her eyes lingered on you as though she was listening not just to your words, but to the spaces in between. I'd fallen for that attentiveness. The way she seemed to make the world tilt in my direction. 3 years into marriage, I still caught myself marveling that she'd chosen me. On paper, we were enviable. Friends joked about our storybook relationship. We had our routines, Saturday morning trips to the farmer's market, movie nights with too much popcorn, even a shared playlist for road trips that somehow never grew stale. Our life was stitched together with these small rituals, and I clung to them as proof that we were solid. But routines, I've learned, can disguise distance as easily as they demonstrate closeness. Somewhere along the way, our lives began to run parallel instead of intertwining. She was climbing the ladder at her marketing firm, her phone buzzing with late-night emails and urgent client dinners. I worked IT at a local company, steady hours, predictable problems, the kind of job that left me free most evenings. I'd wait for her to come home, sometimes hours after me, convincing myself it was just ambition driving her. At first, I chalked up the small changes to exhaustion. The way she collapsed onto the couch without asking about my day. The distracted kisses before bed. The way she'd place her phone face down on the counter, screen dark, as though hiding something insignificant. I noticed, of course, but noticing isn't the same as understanding. I trusted her. Completely. Perhaps too completely. The truth is, marriage teaches you to overlook things. You learn to smooth edges, to excuse lapses, to pretend a little if it keeps the peace. And for a while, I did just that. I ignored the tension I sometimes felt in the silence between us. The gnawing thought that I was beginning to know her routines better than I knew her heart. Still, I held on to the belief that we were unshakable. That whatever rough patches we stumbled through, our foundation was strong enough to hold. But foundations can crack without sound. By the time you notice, it's already too late. One September evening, with the first hints of autumn in the air, I would discover just how fragile the life we'd built really was. And once seen, some truths can never be unseen. The night it all began felt unremarkable. A Friday in late September, the kind of evening that smelled faintly of wood smoke and carried the crisp bite of fall. Claire texted me around 6. Running late. Dinner with clients. Don't wait up. Her words were ordinary, almost routine. Yet something about the message snagged in my chest. Maybe it was the clip tone, or the way she didn't add her usual heart emoji. Small details, but in marriage, small things whisper louder than grand gestures. I tried to brush it off. I ordered a pizza, cracked open a beer, and let our dog, Max, sprawl across my lap while the television flickered in the background. Still, unease tugged at me, persistent as a mosquito I couldn't swat away. That was when I noticed her tablet left charging on the counter. Claire never went anywhere without it. It was practically another limb. Tonight, though, she had left it behind. I told myself not to touch it. Curiosity was a dangerous thing, and I wasn't the type to pry. Yet my eyes locked on the glowing screen, where a single notification pulsed like a heartbeat. Can't stop thinking about last night. Same place. The sender was saved as E. I froze. The words blurred as my mind scrambled for explanations. Maybe it was shorthand for a client. Maybe last night referred to a business dinner. A joke I didn't understand. But the pit in my stomach insisted otherwise. Against my better judgment, I opened the thread. The screen filled with messages. Lighthearted, flirtatious, intimate in ways that stabbed straight through me. Jokes about inside moments I'd never shared with her. Mentions of hotel rooms. Words brimming with affection that wasn't meant for me. My throat tightened. For a moment, the room seemed to tilt. The sound of Max's steady breathing the only thing keeping me anchored. I closed the tablet and sat in silence, my pulse roaring in my ears. My first instinct was to confront her immediately, to demand answers, to unleash the storm that surged in my chest. But another voice, quieter yet steadier, told me to wait, to see, to know the truth in full before I shattered everything. At 9:45, I dialed her number. She answered on the second ring, her voice warm but distracted. "Hey babe, still at dinner? Can I call you later?" I swallowed hard. "Sure. Love you. Love you too," she replied quickly before hanging up. Her words sounded rehearsed. By 10:15, I was in my car, steering toward the downtown hotel I had seen mentioned in those messages. I parked across the street, engine idling, heart thundering. Every second stretched unbearably until the lobby doors slid open. Claire stepped out, laughter spilling into the night air. Beside her was a tall man, his hand brushing hers with casual familiarity. I gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white. The truth was no longer hidden, and with it, the life I thought I knew began to unravel. Claire came home after midnight. The soft thud of the front door, the muted shuffle of her heels against the floorboards. Every sound seemed exaggerated, like my senses were straining to catch proof of what I already knew. I sat at the kitchen table, the tablet resting in front of me like a loaded weapon. She stopped short when she saw me. Her smile flickered and fell away. "You're still up?" she asked, voice light but tight, as though testing the air. I didn't bother with pleasantries. "Who's he?" For a split second, her face was blank, then drained of color. Her gaze darted to the tablet, then back to me. Her lips parted, but no words came. "Dan?" she whispered finally, and my name cracked in her throat. The silence stretched, unbearable. I forced the question again, sharper this time. "Who is he?" She sank into the chair opposite mine, her hands trembling in her lap. "It's not." She stopped, as though the lie collapsed before it even reached the air. "His name is Eric. He works with me." The world tilted. I gripped the edge of the table, trying to steady myself. "How long?" Her eyes brimmed with tears. She lowered her gaze, unable to meet mine. That silence was its own confession. "A year," I said for her, my voice hollow. Claire flinched as if I'd struck her. "It wasn't supposed to happen." Started small, talking, laughing, feeling like someone actually noticed me again. And then one night it went too far. I told myself it was a mistake, but it didn't stop. I didn't stop. Her words cut deeper than the betrayal itself. Not because of what she'd done, but because of the raw honesty dripping from her confession. She hadn't rehearsed this. It wasn't a neat excuse. It was the messy, undeniable truth. I wanted to rage, to shout, to throw the tablet against the wall. Instead, my body betrayed me with stillness. My voice, when it came, was quiet. "You've been lying to me. Every night. Every dinner. Every love you on the phone. You gave me scraps while he got the rest." Tears streaked down her cheeks. "I never stopped loving you, Dan. I was selfish, I was weak. But I love you. Please believe that." The cruelty of her words was that some part of me wanted to believe them, to cling to the memory of the woman who laughed with me in the car at midnight, who fell asleep with her head on my chest during movies, who once promised me forever. But the woman in front of me had broken that promise. And though love might still flicker between us, it flickered in a place charred by betrayal. I leaned back, every muscle taut, my breath uneven. "Love doesn't look like this, Claire. Not anymore." Her sobs filled the kitchen, but I couldn't comfort her. For the first time since we met, she felt like a stranger. And strangers, I realized, are capable of anything. For the days that followed were a blur, as if life had been knocked off its axis and was struggling to spin in rhythm again. Claire and I moved through the same rooms like strangers occupying a shared space. The air was thick with words unsaid. Every glance weighted with guilt, anger, or longing, sometimes all at once. We tried to talk. At first, the conversations were sharp and jagged, every sentence edged with accusation. Then they softened into exhausted silences, questions trailing into the void. "Why him?" I asked one night, my voice raw. Claire looked at me, her eyes swollen from crying. Because he saw me. Because I felt alive again. The confession wasn't an excuse. It was a wound, split open for me to examine. And though I wanted to hate her, I couldn't ignore the reflection it forced upon me. Had I stopped seeing her? Too? Had I let comfort replace curiosity, routine replace connection? That self-blame twisted in my chest, warring with my anger. Betrayal, I discovered, is rarely clean. It drags you into a swamp where love and resentment claw at each other until you can't tell which one you're drowning in. We went to therapy, sat in a room with a stranger who asked us to unpick the knots we tied around ourselves. Some sessions ended in shouting, others in silence, once even in laughter that startled us both. For a time, I almost believed we might make it through. But trust is fragile. Even after months of trying, the cracks remained. Every buzz of her phone set my stomach on edge. Every business dinner replayed the night I'd sat outside that hotel, watching her step into a world I wasn't part of. The truth settled over me slowly, like dusk creeping across the sky. You can't unsee betrayal, and you can't rebuild on shattered glass. One evening, nearly a year after that night, I told her I couldn't do it anymore. We sat across from each other, hands folded on the table, neither of us raising our voices. "I still love you," she whispered. "I still love you," she whispered. "And I still love you," I admitted. "But love isn't enough. Not after this." Tears welled in her eyes, but she didn't argue. Maybe she understood. Maybe she'd already known. The night I packed my things, Max sat at the door, watching me with tilted head and soft eyes. Claire stood in the kitchen, arms wrapped around herself, silent. I didn't look back when I closed the door because I knew if I did, I might never leave. That night marked the end of us. But it also marked the beginning of me learning to stand without her, to live without the comfort of a lie. Even now, years later, the memory of that September evening lingers like a scar. It doesn't hurt the way it once did, but it reminds me of a truth I carry always. Love can survive many storms, but once trust is broken, the ground beneath it will never feel steady again. If you like my story, please subscribe to my channel.